Hey there guys, figured I'd bring you along, working on this Grasshopper 725K. Problem here is that the wheel rides up too high on the left side, so I'll show you the right side. See the difference there. So, problem with that is the bracket that bolts down to the frame. Let me grab my light here. So this bracket right here, you can see how it's cracked there. Well, the bolts at the bottom of the gearbox right down in there are also broken, and they're okay on the top, but that allows the gearbox to swing the bottom away from this bracket, and it forces this this hose to rub on this bracket. So you can see how it's all mangled and such down there. So that's the idea, is to get it all apart, weld that bracket, replace those bolts in the bottom, and see how it looks after that. Well, it looks like you know, this is about the best we can do for getting it supported. You know, there's 3 points to lift this thing because it pivots right there. Well, anyways, I loosened up the bolts right here, and I realized after it dropped down, actually being held up by the oil filter, which is always a good way to even lift stuff if you can. But you know, I was looking down in here, and it looks to me like the only thing holding it in there is the linkages and the hose. Looks like all the bolts are broken off or missing, stripped out or whatever, for the for what holds the pump to the bracket back there. So looks like it's a little worse than I thought, and so I'm going to start unhooking everything and see where that gets me. Well, I ran into a problem here. You know, I don't have any service wrenches, but I do happen to have my handy dandy adjustable service wrench. My other wrenches are too long, but this one's not. So, you know, there's that. Works out pretty good. That's how that goes. So it looks like we also got another hose where the end is worn through, just about worn through. I took off this bracket here for the parking brake, and pulled away this bottom pan, and then I noticed right in here, you can see that that's the sleeve that they compress for the hose, holds the hose on, and that's all the way worn through, so it's just the barbs on the fitting holding the hose on. But anyways, so it looks like we'll be replacing that too, and you can see right here where it worn into the nut. So, you know, figured I'd show you guys that too. A lot of stuff worn out here because of those bolts being missing or broken. Alright, well, I got the gearbox pump out, and so this along here is the crack that I was talking about. It's cracked from the top all the way down to the bottom, and also it seems like it's cracked right there too. Did not have a single bolt that was holding up this end of the pump, so pretty interesting. Doesn't look like it really welded out that hole too much where the hose went through, but that's where it was rubbing, and that's why it started leaking. Alright, well there it is. It's all cleaned up. As you can see, that needs welded there. So, should go pretty quick. And also, I'd like to mention that this whole part of this middle frame, it, you know, obviously this was bolted against the front part of the frame. Well, it's very hard to get these even close with a pry bar, so after I get it all welded up, I should be able to just get it to suck back in with the bolts, and hopefully that'll be good enough. Another thing I found interesting was you can see that roller does not fall into this groove. If you lift this up, you can get it on top of there, and it works out all right. And it springs it back to center. However, you can see the one bolt is either missing or broken off, and right about there is the center of the bolt, so you need to hammer that over, put a new bolt in there. Alrighty, well, got all the welding done. It's not my best work, but it's not too bad for a flux core, I guess. As you can see, there's quite a long crack. You know, after you move the paint out of the way, you can see it all. And you know, made sure got it nice and hot, and got her put back together. So now I gotta grind away enough that I can fit the body of the gearbox right over there where those two holes are, and of course I gotta grind this flat. That should be about it. As you can see there, I got broken bolt there and broken bolt there. Looks like I got one there too. I'm gonna have to chase the holes with a tap, make sure they're good and nice, and clean them out real good with some brake clean. You know, once I get those broken bolts out, I can figure out what thread pitch they are, run up to the old hardware store and get some new ones. Try to get the ones with the flange on the head of the bolt with the angled teeth. I think that would be good. So that's where we're at now. Alright, well, I got the first bolt nice and loose, welded on a nut here. It's coming right out. Ironically, I tried getting this thing to turn with the using a center punch and offsetting it as I hit it around. I tore the bolt up, or what was left of it, but it didn't move it at all. And I went and I welded this nut on there, and it started turning without me even trying. So must have shocked it loose. So there we go. Okay, well, I got got those 3 bolts out. You can see the holes are in pretty good shape. They just look a little bit dark from the flux, from the welding. And as you can see, they're pretty offset, but didn't have any problems taking them out. So, you know, I think there's something to be said about that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alrighty, well, we got got all the welding done. Got it ground down to where you know, I can get the gearbox in place and not have the welds interfere along that main crack right down that way. So you can actually see where it was welding here. Alright, well, got it all ground down and painted. You know, so I got all the welds ground down so I can fit the gearbox back up in there along that main crack. It's a pretty tight fit there, so yep, keep it moving. Alright, well, looks like I got all the bolts in and tight. for the inner side mount of the gearbox pump, and I'm just taking that bracket right there loose. That way I can get in there a little bit better. Next step is I got to change out the hoses, and I got to straighten out this. It was actually rubbing on one of the hoses too, so that's what's next. Alrighty, well, doing a little bit of work at night here, and so I got to straighten that out. I already straightened out this section here. It was bent towards the camera. That section there looks pretty good, and this section is also bent pretty well towards the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on this block of wood, and I'm going to use that hammer, and it's going to straighten it right out. Alright, there it is, pretty much flat. Just need to do a little bit of fine-tune work, and be good as new. Alright, well, there it is. Everything's all done with it. Have all the linkages hooked up and adjusted. I have it adjusted so that it tracks right now. Goes straight when you point it straight, and you know, with a little adjustment. And so I had to mess around with this link here. It's got a reverse thread here and a standard thread there, so you can loosen up the jam nuts, and you can twist this threaded shaft to some people might call it a turnbuckle, but anyways, so you got to twist that. You can close this in, or you can open this out, and also adjust it. This adjustment here for the reverse, and that adjustment up there for the forward, and you won't be able to see that on the camera. So anyways, that's when I adjusted to track it straight. Got the pan back on it, looking good. So that's it. That's everything. You guys have a great day.